I just love summer. I love the warm days. I love the mild evenings. I don't even mind when we have that stretch of really hot days. I love watching the wild blackberries grow and ripen. It looks like we're going to have a great crop this year. I love how fast my garden grows now that the weather has turned warm. There's nothing like vegetables straight from the garden to the table. It's the end of June now, and today's video starts all the way back at the end of March. So I wanted to just take a few minutes and kind of put it into context. Despite being retired, well, semi-retired, I guess, as it turns out, about a week and a half after our early spring return from Arizona, I started a bathroom remodel that I had promised for a long-time client. Then some friends needed some repair work on a house they were selling. With so much going on, and even though I was filming everything I did around the house, I just didn't have time to put it all together into videos. Oh good, you're still here. I'm almost done, I promise. So in this and the next video, in an effort to get caught up, I'm just going to kind of hit the high points of everything I've been working on for the last few months. So let's go back in time to March 27th. A little change of plans. I was going to do the burn pile today, you know, all those piles of debris from all the cutting I did earlier in the year. But I also need to get some garden soil. And it looks like the forecast changed a bit. Today is a little bit drier and tomorrow is a little bit wetter than they originally forecast. So right now we're on the way to the landscape supply. We'll get a yard of the garden soil and go back home and unload it. Looks good. It's all finished up, and whatever I had left, which wasn't really that much, I went ahead and put in this bed over here. I think I'm going to go with that for this year, and then maybe add another load next year, but this will be fine for now. Today is burn day. I like doing it in a little rain. It's raining a little harder than I normally like, but I'm going to have to take what I can get. I don't want to keep putting this off because at some point it's going to stop raining, and I really do prefer having a nice big fire when it's really wet out. Now I put this little tarp on here to keep part of it dry. I don't have to keep all of it dry, I just need one little dry spot to get the fire going. I had it covered a little more, and while we were gone, it blew off there, everything got pretty wet. I think I still have a small dry area here. But anyway, I have all these scraps of dry wood I've been keeping inside that I can use as kindling to get it started. Once it gets going, the heat from the fire just dries everything out as soon as it gets there. And I have my propane torch to help me get going. Normally, I wouldn't start a fire from the top, but that's where the driest debris here is. Here we go. I'll just keep adding bit by bit here. Look at that sun coming out. It's been a beautiful day. A lot of clouds around though. I got set up, I got my pitchfork, got my water hose, although it is really wet around here. But I feel better having it. Getting there, I'm still making a lot of smoke. Once I get a good hot fire going, I won't have nearly as much smoke going up. See that, once that fire gets a little hotter, you see a lot less smoke coming off the top. definitely a bit slow starting, but once it gets going, I'll be able to really move through this stuff. All right, making some good progress here. I know this looks kind of the same, but I've been throwing stuff on it all the time. Two of my smaller piles there are gone, and all this stuff here, it looks like firewood, but it's willow, so it's not wasteful, it's just not good firewood. This is the best way to deal with it. It just keeps burning, I just keep throwing stuff on it. The pile of roses is gone now. The pile that was over here is gone. And that pile is gone. Well, the fire keeps kind of looking the same. It's burned down a little bit. I got to get going on there. You can see it's getting really cleared out here. And over here, gotten rid of one more pile. This pile is gone. So next, I'm just going to start working my way back over here. So these two small piles here are gone. All I have left is that one, but I think it is the biggest pile. I'll just keep doing like I've been doing. Just pull it over there, throw it on the fire, pull it, throw it on the fire. And I really think I'm gonna get it today. I gotta tell you, this is a beautiful sight to me. I'm gonna rig up these pieces, I'll go get the wagon, haul them over to the burn pile, and it's time for just a few scraps along my trail here. That is it for the hard stuff. So that's it for the real tough part. Mostly what I gotta do is just kind of babysit it and take my pitchfork and keep sticking the sides back on top of it until it burns down. Although, just to show that I never know when to quit. Got a couple trees here. I just want to trim off the lower branches and get them on the fire. It's going to make it a lot easier to mow over there. I know, but you know, I love my little electric chainsaw. Well, that's way better. Those are all dead. I had to come off anyway. It's starting to rain a bit again, but this is really all that's left. I'm gonna go around and keep tossing the edges in, sit in my chair and relax a little bit. Diane brought me an apple and some chips, so I got snacks. The chair's wet, but I don't care. I just want my chips. Well, that looks good. The fire's laying down real nicely. It's probably going to smolder for a couple days or so. Got some blue skies and the sun's out. And it's time to go in. Gotta tell you, I am tired. My back is sore. And I want to take a shower. Sit down and relax for a while this evening and probably tomorrow morning too. But I got it all done and I wasn't totally sure that I'd be able to do it all in a day. Certainly the way the fire started so slowly this morning. But it's done. It's safe because everything's soaking wet around us, so it's not going anywhere. And now I can move on to the next thing. Well, the shop is still a big giant mess. And it's gonna have to stay that way for a while because this afternoon I gotta get all my tools loaded on my truck and still some of the stuff out of the truck that's left over from our trip. All right, that looks good, but something I kind of forgot about. Look here in the back seat. And that's still just a bunch of stuff left over from the trip. Underneath the seat, there's some things too. So I'll go ahead and get that cleaned out, then I'll be ready to go. Well, I think I finally got it all. You know those days, I'm sure you've experienced it, when every time you think you're done, you turn around, there's something else to do. Well, I think I finally finished all the something else's. It's time to head on in. How about a little April snow? Take a look at that. Not really a giant blizzard, but we did get a few inches. It's just not sticking on the ground very well. I want to go have a look at the garden. This doesn't happen every year, this kind of snow in April. Looks like, you know, it's not really sticking on the ground, but on top of some of the furniture and things like here. Out here, look at that. That's got to be at least 4 or 5 inches there, 4 anyway. I'm really curious what the garden looks like. The garden looks pretty white from here. It is beautiful. Little layer in the pasture there. And I think a lot of that is because it's kind of on the grass. Anything that's touching the ground is a little melty. Except here. Oh my gosh, let's have a look. See what it looks like inside here. We just put some tomatoes in pots in here. And they're not real happy, but they're hanging in. That one's got a few burnt leaves, but for the most part, it looks good. All right, got snow off of there. Just happy to see that they survived. Take a look at this one. This one should be fine. It doesn't have any tomatoes in it. Oh man, that's heavy. Oh my God, I gotta get out of here. There's some giant radishes in there. I just have not really had a chance to mess with this, but I'll get to it. Don't know if you can see it or not, but it's snowing lightly right now. The garden looks fine. I know that the garlic and onions are gonna be okay. Everything in the cold frames look great too, so I'm glad we got the tomatoes inside there. It's cold out. It's not really that cold. The thermometer says 54 degrees, but there's a little bit of a breeze, and I've really just been sitting at my desk all morning. So I'm sure I'll warm up once I get moving around a little bit. What I want to do today is I want to plant some vegetable seeds. I like going from seed if I can. It makes it more fun for me. And this is the first year I've had the cold frames, so I'm going to go ahead, start them in little pots, see if I can get them going in the cold frames. Now it's about the first week in April, and I usually don't feel comfortable putting them out unprotected until at least the last half of May, because until then we can always get a really cold night, and all it takes is one really cold night to just finish everything off. So I'm going to go ahead, start them in the cold frames, and that way I can get a really good head start on the season's growing. The garden actually looks pretty good right now. Wow, I haven't paid much attention. Look at that, those big things sticking up there, that's my elephant garlic, and everything else is red and white onions. And there's my row of radishes. It looks like they're doing all right. Oh boy, another big giant one out here. Oh well. So I got a whole bunch of different seed packets here. I'm not sure if I'm going to plant all of these or some of these. I'll kind of go through and see what I want to get in the ground this year. But first of all, I got to find some little pots to put them in, probably here in the greenhouse. All right, I know, this thing's really embarrassing. It's a giant mess, it's falling apart, but I'm telling you, when I get a chance, probably gonna be near the end of the summer, into the fall, I'm gonna rehab this thing and use it. But I do have a bunch of little pots in here. I have all kinds of pots in here, but I think this is the size I want to plant. Oh, those are a little raggedy. This is the size I want to plant it, and they're sort of all over the place. Now, I'm probably going to end up with way too many of these because I usually plant a whole bunch of each one just to make sure enough come up to use. And then a lot of times I'll just give away the ones I don't use because there's not much I can do. I have a limited amount of planting space. It is quite a bit, I'm not complaining, but there is a limit to how much I can put in the ground. So if I have way too many, I'll just give them away. There we go, a whole bunch of little pots. Oh. Now I gotta find some decent soil to start them in. Now I think probably the best place to get it, I don't want to use this because this stuff is really fresh. I don't know if it's fully composted yet, but the stuff I put in, gosh, several months ago, that should be pretty good. Got a bucket, my trusty little garden trowel. So let's take a look underneath this plastic here. I bet this stuff is just right. I'll just borrow some from here. Yeah, that looks like it's going to be perfect. All right, that should get me started. All right, here's a bucket, part of the little handle. A bucket of the soil here. Part of the little plastic handle broke off. It's really old. So I guess what I'll do is I'll just start by filling a bunch of these pots with soil and then plunking some seeds in them and see where that leads. Now I'm sure you know because I've said this before, but I want to remind you, don't just blindly do what I do. I really don't know what I'm doing, just having some fun here. If you're going to do this, get expert advice. Okay, I'll start with that. Now, when I plant them, I'm going to need some way to label these things, and I got just the thing right in here in the greenhouse. Now, here's a helpful hint for anybody who wanted to do this. You probably know this already if you've done any gardening. Whenever we have an old mini blind, which nobody has mini blinds anymore, but we used to, and I kept all the little pieces. When they finally fail, I take them all apart, keep all the little mini blind parts, and these make great vegetable labelers. And then we just take these, write on them with a Sharpie, put it in each of the little pots. That way we'll have an idea of what we're planting when we go to plant. Right, there's all the little mini blind parts. There's the Sharpie. Here's my little planting gauge that I so cleverly made with the 1/2-inch increments on it. Now I'll just grab a packet at random, get some seeds going, and move on from there. All right, we'll start with some zucchini seeds. They're nice and big, I love that. It's starting to rain a little bit. It wasn't supposed to rain today, but look at those clouds. I'm not surprised. All right, cut them in somewhere around the right depth. How do you spell zucchini? Well, there we go. Now we just got to keep doing this until everything I want to have planted is planted. Then we'll put them inside the cold frame, water them lightly, and keep an eye on them. I'm kind of starting with 4 of each. I don't know if I'm going to have enough pots. I have plenty of soil, but I'll keep going with this and see how far I get. The finished guy's up here. Brownie's hanging around. He needs a little love, don't you, Brownie? There you go. Good girl. Yeah. Meow, meow, meow. Boom. And boom. I gotta go find a better marker because I don't know if you can see, but this one has a real fat tip to it. It's not a Sharpie anymore, it's more of a dully, and I can barely read what my scrawl is. So I'm gonna see if I have a better one in the shop. Well, I didn't have a good one in the shop. One in there had a big fat point too, but I did have this one in my truck. It's got a really nice point to it. I gotta remember to put it back in the truck, otherwise at some point I'm gonna need it and it won't be there. Well, my penmanship isn't any better, but it sure writes a lot better with that fine point. Isn't that nice? Just as nice as can be. Get these up here on the top shelf. I should probably just be taking them out of the cold frame right away, but I'm going to stick with what I'm doing here. Take them out there all at once. Okay, I think I've got everything in pots of the seeds that I already had with me that I wanted to plant. I've got cucumbers, pickling cucumbers, zucchini, bush beans, watermelon, cantaloupe, pickling cucumbers, regular cucumbers, butternut squash, sweet peppers, bell peppers, and what is it, eggplant somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in the cold frame over there. I'm not going to take them yet. I got to go over to the cold frame, pull up some stuff, make some room, and we'll get these in there and water them in, close the cold frame down. Got some really nice weather coming this week, so they get good and warm in there, and hopefully they'll be germinating, start germinating anyway by next weekend. Yeah, even on this cool, mostly overcast day, I had enough sun come in to warm it up in here. The ground feels kind of warm in there. Well, I should be able to get most of them in there right there. I've got a lot more weeding to do. I pulled a couple of weeds out here real quick, but it's just not for today, especially since I'll be working the next few weeks. I got to be really careful with what I do with my time. I really do need to get in and get the shop kind of cleaned up and organized, because so very often there's something I need in there for work, and there's no way I can find it right now. I gotta say, this is really exciting, me getting back to having a big vegetable garden. It's been years since I've done it, and I just love it so much. Well, everything's in and ready to go. I do know on these warm days they're going to dry out real quickly, so I'm probably going to have to hit them with a little water every day. But this is really great. This is not even what I expected to be using the cold frame for, but it's just one more terrific use for it. If you want to see how to build one, I'll link that video down below in the description. Anyway, I have a little more time left. I think I'll at least get a little start in the shop.